Colombia backing down immediately, but as Hillary was talking about, that didn't stop Democrats and the media from fear-mongering about coffee prices. You think Colombia, not baby formula, you couldn't even find that. Colombia was the only country in the world that grows coffee, as if. What's the price of American sovereignty? For some, it's about a few cents on your Starbucks order. Charles, I have never been, into FOMO, fear of missing out. But I can certainly get on board with this, FAFO, which is what President Trump posted on Truth Social. So that's fudge around and find out.
Yeah.
So that's better than Make America Great Again.
Yeah, no, I love it. It's you know what's so funny about this? As AOC mentioned that, oh boy, fear-mongering, right?
Right.
When Biden came into office, coffee was $1.23. It's $3.68 now. It went up 200% under Biden. I mean, golly, you can't make this stuff up. So you're talking about, it's going to go up. It already went up 200% in the last 4 years. And that, by the way, all that kind of fear-mongering just helps China. Yeah. It just really helps any of my adversaries, right? This is something where we're saying we're not trying to attack these countries for the sake of attacking them. What President Trump wants to do is bring back manufacturing jobs here, prosperity here, and he believes in free trade, but it has to be fair trade. It's just about being smart. It's about being the strongest nation in the world, not acting like the weakling. When I was a kid in the comic books, they used to have this thing with a kid on the beach, real skinny kid, and a muscle-bound jerk will come and kick sand in his face when he goes lift some weights, We've already lifted the weights. Let's stop letting these countries kick us in the face with sand. Let's stand up for ourselves.
Jackie, this is exactly what President Trump talked about and promised, is using tariffs as a weapon to extract behavior from countries that benefits the United States. And quite frankly, one of the things I noticed as all of this was going on, all the headlines from the major media outlets were that there was going to be a 25% tariff, not that it had been resolved in a matter of minutes. So I was like, where's the resolution
I was
headline?
telling people this story, and they said, it hasn't been resolved. And I said, yes, it has. They already said, not only are we going to take them back, we're going to send our own planes to get them.
The presidential plane.
Yes, the presidential plane. So this is an amazing story about how tariffs can be used in exactly that way, Dagan. And Charles, I'm so glad you brought up the coffee prices, because the 9% inflation that we saw under President Biden, that was what? For new Green Deal spending and EV mandates and rebates and all these things that they did, that the Democrats were willing to pay that much more, 200% more for a cup of coffee. Jamie Dimon at Davos said the other day, national security is important. He's trying to do something for national security here. If your prices just go up a little bit more, it's not going to be that 9%. So be it. And many people agree with that. At least there's an objective here. And look, they didn't do it. They don't want the tariff. They said, we'll take them back.
I'll pay a little bit more for coffee. By the way, 80% of the cost of President Trump's tariffs in his first term were eaten by the importers.
Right. Well, there's currency adjustments. They lower the prices
China
to help
rebates.
Maintain the market share. Dagan, so you bring up a good point. Let's talk about playing fair, shall we? An economist friend of mine sent this over. According to the Colombia Trade Promotion Agreement, we get all that stuff duty-free. But you know what? We have a 5%, they have a 5% tariff on our goods. Sometimes it's as much as 10 or 25%. So at some point, this is about evening out. Again, tariffs were all about playing fair. Can we play fair? How do we get other countries to play fair? I like how we talked about also friend or foe, you're on notice. So did you guys see the headline from Mexico's president today? He came out and he said, we've received more than 4,000 deportees from the U.S., most of them Mexican, between January 20th and 26th. So Mexico was saying, I hear you, Colombia, and we're on board. We've accepted these passengers.
So don't talk tariffs with us, because we've already gotten the message. That's interesting. By the way, I learned about the Colombian president sending his plane from a tweet that you put out, Charles, right after I read the headline about this whole thing happening. I thought, Charles is wrong. He's way ahead of it. You weren't. That's how fast it happened. But what's interesting to me is, so President Trump says, here's what we're going to do, okay? And I think the secret weapon is almost immediately Speaker Johnson chimes in on X and says, yep, we're ready to put into practice all the things that you're talking about. So it's not just that President Trump is out there doing it by himself. but he's got a team of people who are highly coordinated with what he's doing. And it's like when he moves, they move. And the rest of the world looks at that and says, these guys know what they're doing.
Right. What's the price of safety? And that his team is the American people.
Right.
That will pay more for your coffee. And by the way, we can get it from
Other places.
other nations.
Some of us get a lot of it from McDonald's,
right.
too,
We can
not
get it from
Starbucks.
Brazil or Guatemala or Honduras or Nicaragua, but what's the price of safety? You can, we'll pay extra. You take your rapists and murderers
and
back.
I like that Jamie Dimon said that a little bit at Davos. I think it's hard to hear after 4 years of, on average, a 20% pay or a sort of a price increase. But that aside, I think we would all be willing to pay a little bit more had we not experienced the massive inflation in the last 4 years for the price of national security. I think Jamie Dimon hinted on that, and I'm on board.
It didn't even happen because he scared the Jesus out
That's
of him.
right. That's right.
Again, fudge around and find out.
There you go.
Up next.